Welcome back, everyone. Time to do another comparison between the brand new, newly released iPhone 12 Pro Max and the somewhat older iPhone 10R. Now, the iPhone 10R came out in 2018, so it's definitely not a new phone anymore, but it's not really that old. And the good thing is, Apple is still selling this phone brand new, which is still impressive for $499. Where the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the newest and most expensive iPhone you can purchase right now, and Apple is selling this one for $1099 for the base model. So that's a lot of money to pay for this phone. The iPhone 10R is, less than half the cost of the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but I don't necessarily think it's half the phone or even less than half the phone. I don't even think it's that bad of a phone compared to the 12 Pro Max, if I'm being honest. Now, I'll find the cheapest ones of both these, link them down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you'll probably be able to tell that the iPhone 10R is a much smaller phone than the iPhone 12 Pro Max in terms of length, but in terms of width, they kind of feel about the same. I don't think one is necessarily wider than the other one, which is pretty impressive because the 12 Pro Max has a much bigger display, but kind of in a smaller width, which is weird. So with the iPhone 10R, you're getting that 6.1-inch IPS panel. It has the notch. It's not even that bad of a panel, as I've stated before. But, compared to the 12 Pro Max, is definitely not as good of a panel, if I'm being honest. Now, you obviously have a little bit more of the body bezel around the whole entire phone than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. But that's why this phone feels less wide than the iPhone 10R, which is impressive. Now, on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, on the other hand, you do have that 6.7-inch panel on it, and I really do think it's a really good size panel for the most part. You're getting that, stainless steel sides, the flat sides, which do look extremely premium as well. You have the notch up top, and it's a higher resolution panel than the iPhone 10R, and on top of that, it's an OLED panel. The iPhone 10R's panel is IPS panel. Some people may like it, some people may not. I really am indifferent about it nowadays. The viewing angles seem to be much better on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, as you guys can probably see. You can see much more on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I'll probably tell you the 12 Pro Max definitely has the better panel for sure in terms of the thinness and thickness between the two. I did just drop my iPhone 10R, but as you can see, I mean, they are kind of about the same. Actually, I kind of think the 10R may be a little bit thicker. It kind of seems like. I'll let you guys kind of tell over the camera, but they kind of seem the same, if I'm being honest. And in terms of the back, you can see triple camera setup on the iPhone 12 Pro Max with the LiDAR sensor. The iPhone 10R has that single camera setup. Both have glass backs, but the iPhone 12 Pro Max does have that frosted glass back texture, which is amazing. I really like this type of texture. I'm okay with the 10R, but the 12 Pro Max has so much more character in it. Now, they both have IP certification, but the certification is better on the 12 Pro Max. The 12 Pro Max definitely feels more premium, and the flat sides with the stainless steel sides give it a much more premium feeling than the 10R with its aluminum sides. So, in terms of the outside, the 12 Pro Max 100% wins. In terms of the software, the 12 Pro Max is 2 years newer than the iPhone 10R. So, that only makes me think that the 12 Pro Max is going to last an extra 2 years on top of the 10R. So, if the 10R ends in 2023 or 2024, this phone will probably end up ending at like 2025 or 2026. So this phone is going to be lasting for a long time. The 10R still has a couple more years left in its life cycle though. And in terms of the software, release dates and everything, as long as these phones are supported, they're getting day one updates at the exact same time. So it's not like the 12 Pro Max gets extra updates at the same time. It's not going to be like that at all. So in terms of the software, that pretty much covers it up. Now let's go and do a little bit of a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 10R has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 12 Pro Max has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster phone between both of these. All right, now as soon as I started the speed comparison, the phone just started, lighting up and the sun started being in my face, so that's good. But we'll see how long this lasts. Now I'll have all the apps cleared out in the background, so let's get started. Let's do phone calls. 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same. I think maybe the 12 Pro Max was faster. App Store, 3, 2, 1. A little bit of a delay on the 10R. Maybe I clicked it a little bit slower, but they both were, the 12 Pro Max was a little bit faster, but it could be because of, the little bit of the delay there. And I really want to soak in as much as the sun as possible, so I'm going to go straight to the third-party apps. Let's go and do Fruit Ninja. 3, 2, 1. And this phone, as you guys can see, just, as soon as you click it, it just goes flying. It's like all the iPhone 12 series does it. And you can see that the 12 Pro Max was faster there, but the 10R was a little bit slower to get into that panel. So I'm actually really happy how well the iPhone 10R did there. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the 12 Pro Max was faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. And again, the 12 Pro Max was faster. iPhone 10R behind it. We'll go ahead and skip Instagram for now. Let's do Snapchat, 3, 2, 1. Again, the 12 Pro Max faster. iPhone 11, 10R shortly behind. Paper IO 2, 3, 2, 1. And 12 Pro Max was faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind right there. Let's do Road Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. And you can see the 12 Pro Max was definitely far ahead of the iPhone 10R, but I'll be honest, the iPhone 10R was still actually doing pretty well in this specific test. That was actually not that far behind. I kind of spoke too soon. Let's do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And I think the Real Racing 3 there was actually closer than that. I thought it was actually pretty close between them, which is pretty interesting. The 12 Pro Max is definitely ahead of the iPhone 10R, but again, it depends how you look at it. The 10R is 2 years older. Like if these two phones came out at the same time, I would be like, yeah, the 12 Pro Max is far ahead. It's a waste of money to get the 10R. But it's not really the case because the 10R is much cheaper than the iPhone 12 Pro Max and it's older technically. Let's do BOFA. I don't have it. Let's do Dropbox. 3, 2, 1. You can see 12 Pro Max again is faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind. Quizlet. 3, 2, 1. And again, 12 Pro Max faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind. Netflix. 3, 2, 1. There's like a motorcycle guy over here. It's crazy. And you can see they both were actually kind of close, even though the Pro Max was a little bit faster. Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, 12 Pro Max is faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind. Let's get into some gameplay. And the 10R did glitch up a little bit, maybe, and the 12 Pro Max eventually glitched up. It's always like so much flip flopping when these games go by. But yeah, definitely the 12 Pro Max was faster. Let's do stack, 3, 2, 1. 12 Pro Max was faster. iPhone 10R a little bit behind right there. Let's end it off with Thank You, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, the 12 Pro Max was faster and iPhone 10R was a little bit behind. So, I mean, I can definitely tell you between these two phones, the iPhone 12 Pro Max was definitely faster overall than the iPhone 10R. And RAM management is going to be a little bit better on the 12 Pro Max. It has twice the amount of RAM. And did I say this one had 4 gigabytes of RAM? I meant to say this one had 3 gigabytes of RAM. But still, I mean, both these phones are going to be extremely fast. I'm actually more surprised about the iPhone 10R. I was expecting the 12 Pro Max to be faster, and it was. But the 10R, for being a 2018 phone, is actually pretty decent. Now, I think the bigger differences isn't necessarily in the speed comparison, but more so in the RAM management test. As you can see, the 12 Pro Max was able to keep pretty much all those apps in the background, where the iPhone 10R, had to multitask out of them. So just imagine if you're in the middle of a super intensive game or something like that, and you hop out to take a phone call and you have a bunch of these apps in the background, and you go back in the game and it restarts on you, you have a less of a chance of that happening on the 12 Pro Max than on the iPhone 10R. So the speed difference, yes, the iPhone 12 Pro Max was also faster, but the RAM management, you're seeing a much more better RAM management system on the 12 Pro Max specifically than on the iPhone 10R. So you're getting more RAM, twice the amount of RAM, and just way better RAM performance on the iPhone 12 Pro Max than on the iPhone 10R. So I'll do a full speed comparison if you guys want to see it on my second channel, but let's go ahead and hit on the cameras. Now, as stated before, triple camera setup on the 12 Pro Max with that LiDAR sensor, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 12 megapixel telephoto lens, where the iPhone 10R has that single 12 megapixel wide angle lens. And I'm pretty sure you all already know my opinion on these cameras, but I feel like with the 10R, it actually was pretty decent, and it still holds up pretty well for the most part. The biggest differentiating factor between this camera and a lot of the phones that have came out, including all the newer iPhones, is the lack of extra camera sensors. It doesn't have a telephoto lens, it doesn't have an ultra wide, it doesn't have that LiDAR sensor, which I don't think is that big of a deal. But these two other lenses are pretty important in my opinion, and the fact that the 12 Pro Max doesn't have them kind of does make it a little bit of a worse phone on the 10R. And on top of that, you do not have 4K capability on the front camera. You only have 1080p at 60. You have 4K at 60 on the back camera, but it's just not on the front camera. Now, on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it definitely is a overall far better camera than the iPhone 10R. You're getting a better camera setup, you're getting heavier cameras for sure, bigger camera sensors, the ultra-wide sensor, the telephoto lens, but you're also getting the 4K at 60 on the front camera, which is huge. That is a really, really cool capability. We do not have that on the iPhone 10R. Now, I don't know what specifically is going on with my 12 Pro Max's camera recently. It just seems a little glitchy. It doesn't know how to take pick up this granite or something. But the camera overall, I think, is better on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but you're still getting a lot of the same features, portrait mode, different things like that. There's just not that many features that are new on the iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera. It just so happens that compared to the 10R, this is a better lens, but compared to the 11 Pro Max, the 12 Pro Max isn't really that much better if I'm being honest. Now, ending it off with the battery life, you do have a little bit of a bigger battery on the iPhone 12 Pro Max by I think 600 milliamp hours. So that's, a noticeable difference. You're probably going to be getting better battery life from the 12 Pro Max than on the iPhone 10R. But what I'll tell you is that pre-iOS 14, before iOS 14 came out, my iPhone 10R was lasting for an extremely long amount of time. It was lasting for many, many hours, and since iOS 14, it hasn't really been doing a crazy amount well. Like it's been all right, but it hasn't been like an amazing experience, unfortunately. So definitely when it comes down to the 12 Pro Max is probably better, but the 10R is a little probably behind it to be honest. But I'll do a full battery comparison at some point, just like I did with the 12 Pro and 12. But to kind of sum up this whole entire video and to answer the question, should you go and pick up the iPhone 12 Pro Max? Should you pick up the iPhone 10R? Well, what I can tell you is, first of all, with the iPhone 10R, you're getting a really good build quality phone and you're just getting a cheaper phone than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I think that's one of the biggest assets for this specific phone. It doesn't cost as much as the 12 Pro Max. It costs less than half the price of this phone, but it isn't half this phone, as you guys can see. The only areas that this phone lacks in is probably the screen quality and maybe the cameras. Everything else about this phone is pretty much, expectable. You expect it to not be the fastest thing in the world. You expect this thing not to have the best RAM, and it's expected. If you need more things, then go for the 11 Pro Max or the 12 Pro Max. But definitely the 10R for $499 is a really, really good priced phone. You're getting almost the same type of layout for the most part, the notch design. You have the same type of features. It's not like the 12 Pro Max has a crazy, 120 hertz display, or it has a, reverse wireless charging or anything. We don't have those things on the 12 Pro Max, and the 10R doesn't have those things either, so it kind of makes it okay. And when you compare the 10R to other phones in the market, it's missing some crazy features, but also with the 12 Pro Max, I mean, I would have loved to have seen, reverse wireless charging, the 120 hertz display, but we didn't get that this year. So that really just makes me think that, going from a 10R to the 12 Pro Max is definitely a good upgrade. You're getting a longer software support, better looking screen, better looking phone overall, more premium device, better performance, better cameras, all that good stuff that's expected, better IP certification as well. But you're not really getting anything too crazy. I feel like between these two phones, I don't think I would go from an iPhone 10R to an iPhone 12 Pro Max. I would go from an iPhone 10R to an iPhone 11 Pro Max in my opinion, because that phone is a much better deal in so many different areas. It's cheaper than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it also has a bigger sized battery, which is pretty impressive. And the 12 Pro Max is the best iPhone, like I stated, but it's not the best priced iPhone. I feel like the 10R is a really, really good valued iPhone, and unless you're like a super heavy gamer and you're using your phone for literally everything in your life, then I think the iPhone 10R is probably going to be perfectly fine for you. Now, if you're somebody who does edit videos on your phone, or you make music, or you do a bunch of crazy things on your phone, and you need the most amount of RAM and the most amount of power, then the 12 Pro Max probably is the device for you, if I'm being honest. But I think for the iPhone 10R, for the casual user, if you're just, some person who just, has to text friends every once in a while and go on TikTok, Snapchat, all that stuff, and you just kind of move on with your life, the 10R is a perfectly good phone. It's still more than capable, and I think for the value of it, it's still a really good valued phone for sure. So that really pretty much covers it up. Like I said, I'll link both these in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. That's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.